So you've played for obviously Melbourne Vixens and the Diamonds and Anglesey, and what other clubs have you played with?
Oh, I played for St Joseph's.
St Joey's, yes.
Yeah, I played for the Falcons in the Victorian Netball League on a Wednesday night in Melbourne.
Right.
So that was my Melbourne team.
Yeah.
And then just some Bellarine rep team.
So
and things like that.
I want to know how these experience compare. So if we go from the difference between Anglesey and the Falcons, obviously a massive skill difference.
Yes.
And then I want to talk about Vixens and the Diamonds and how they compare.
Yes,
so if we go to local, so Anglesey, and then you went to Joey's, or what was it? Falcons?
Yeah, Falcons.
So what was it a big step forward?
Yeah, it was. And obviously as you get older, that's when those opportunities come. So I think I finished school in 2006 and I started playing for them in 2007. So that was definitely a step up. I'm playing with, it's an open age. So I'm playing with, ladies that are a lot older, that are older than me. Very, very skilled at netball. And so I had to come out of my shell when I hit that level a little bit. But the girls were great. So that made it easier for me and I was more comfortable and that kind of when things started to take off a little bit for me.
That's good. And then we go from... So how old were you when you got into the Falcons?
I was 19.
Yeah, right. Yeah. And then you go from... How long were you at the Falcons? And then what was the process from the Falcons into the next stage?
Yeah, well, so I was playing for the Falcons and then in 2006, I trialled for the state team. So the under-17s and under-19s wasn't selected.
Okay.
2007, I trialled again, wasn't selected.
Okay.
And then trialled finally again in 2008 for the under-21s team. So this was my last opportunity. I was top age. Wow. And I was selected.
Wow.
Into the team that year for the first time.
Wow.
And so it wasn't until so I was 20 when, I started to realise I was all right at netball.
Yeah. Well, so 2 times you were declined.
Yeah.
Did you ever think, I don't really want to do this
anymore?
I
just loved it.
Oh, wow.
I just loved playing. And so I was like, I'll have another crack.
That's
I'll have another crack.
That is so
And so
good.
I think that was just my mentality. And because, I wasn't growing up, there was girls at school that were in rep teams and academies that I wasn't in.
Yeah.
So I was like, why are they in and I'm not? That crosses your mind. But I just kept playing. I just loved it. Kept going.
And then that last year where you had to be selected, obviously there would have been a few nerves, I'm imagining.
Yeah, yep.
If you just say you weren't selected, what would you be doing instead of netball?
It's a very good question. Well, whether that was my only opportunity or whether I still might have been picked up after that. That could have still happened. I was working full-time at Camp Wilkin in Anglesey as a programmer.
Yep.
And so I went from school into that space and I'd been there for 3 years before I was given the opportunity at the Melbourne Vixens, and then I had to let go of that role.
Yeah. So when you got selected for the Vixens...
Yes.
Talk us through the emotions and everything that
I was
comes with it.
I remember I was at a training session for Victorian Fury. So that was, once you play state, then your next opportunity is in the Victorian Fury team.
Yep.
It's changed a little bit now, but that's what it was back then. And I think I had a year or two there, and there was a girl, if we go back a little bit, when I was playing for state under 21s, I was also selected into the squad for the under 21s team, and they were picking a team to go to the Cook Islands that year. And so this was in 2009. I trialled, was unsuccessful. 2 days before they were flying out, I got a phone call saying, we've got an injury.
Oh.
Can you come? This is on the Tuesday. My response was, I just need to check with work. I think she was taken back by it. Little did she know my dad was the boss. Yeah. But anyway, he was on a plane. I wanted to check with my supervisor. So I checked, called back, and I think she was a bit relieved.
Yeah.
Anyway, so that was on the Tuesday. The Wednesday night, I had a VNL grand final for the Falcons.
Yes.
And then I was flying out Thursday morning.
That's a busy, hectic.
Wrap up work in that time as well.
Yeah, but exciting, obviously.
Yes, very exciting.
So then you hop on the plane to the Cook Islands.
Yeah.
And
I was sharing court time over there.
Yep.
Got a couple of good runs, and then about 3/4 of the way through the tournament, the other goal attack ruptured her ACL.
Okay.
And so I went from not being in the team to sharing court time to starting 7 in the
Wow.
gold medal match.
Wow.
And we won
have a
against
look at
New
that.
Zealand. Yeah, that was really cool.
Yes.
And it was that goal attack who also played for the Melbourne Vixens, so she wasn't going to be able to play, so that opened a spot for me for the following year.
There we go.
And I was at the Victorian Fury training, and the Melbourne Vixens coach just happened to be there, and she caught me afterwards, and I remember her offering me a spot, handing me a contract.
Really?
And me walking out of there with this contract in my hand.
Did you just ring up work? Sorry, I can't.
Yeah.
I'll quit now. I've got a job in the
Sorry, I'm
Suncorp.
out.
Yeah.
No, I rang my parents. I was like, so this just happened?
In the space of
Yeah.
what, a few days or
Yeah.
a week?
Well, yeah. Yep.
Wow.
And so, yeah, that's how I got the call up.
That's insane. And then, so you were playing for the Vixens, and then you got pretty much a full job in the Diamonds, starting 7. When?
Oh, down the track.
Down the track.
Yeah. So I had a few years with the Vixens,
Yep.
and then I got, I was invitee to a couple of the Diamonds training
Yep.
camps,
Yep.
which were hosted mainly in Canberra.
Yep.
And then was up for selection at times as well. And then the way they used to do it is you would sit in a room and someone would stand up the front with a piece of paper and they read the names out alphabetical order according to your surname. So I was Caldwell
So
then.
P.
Caldwell.
Yeah,
So I
Caldwell.
knew early
yes,
on.
of course.
And then so it just goes through. I'm like,
yeah.
that's not me. And then I had that a couple of times.
Yeah.
And then it was, a couple of girls had passed comment that I trialled really well for the Commonwealth Games selection, and they read someone else's name and then my name, and I was in shock. I didn't hear anyone else's name after me because I couldn't believe.
It's like heart thumping.
Yeah, that my debut was going to be at the Commonwealth Games.
Wow. And what year was that?
In 2014.
14, and then you won.
Yeah.
So that's like a perfect year.
Went there for 2 weeks and then we won.
Come
Yeah.
back. Yeah. So what was the Commonwealth Games like in terms of like the village? There's a Commonwealth Games village.
Yeah, there's
and
a
everything?
village. Yep, it's real strict.
Is it?
In terms of security and stuff as well, and
Yep.
who can come in and out, and you got to have your passes at all times. And then every country has their own area in the village. And then there's the dining hall and cafes and the gym and all the other facilities that you need. And we were lucky because we were a full team. We could fit the whole Australian netball team and staff in one house.
That's handy.
Yeah, where other athletes have to share with other people that they,
Ooh, how crowded was it? If you have.
Well, it was 3 stories.
Okay.
And I was rooming with Kim Rav, and she was the youngest, and we were in what we called the loft. So the roof was angled so we could only stand up in half the room.
Knock your head.
We did. There was a couple the suitcases were in the other half, and there was definitely a couple of head knocks. And from our bathroom, you could see the snipers on the roof a couple of buildings over. So the staff, there was another room up the top. A staff was sharing that. So they got a garbage bag.
Goodness me.
Stuck that to the window so we weren't always.
Well,
I'm sure they weren't looking.
No,
but,
But yeah, obviously,
it was there.
a bit
So
of
that's
privacy.
what it was like. Yeah,
That's it. Because the Commonwealth Games, I'm assuming it was set into groups, like Group A, Group B, in terms of how the structure worked in the netball. Is that how it worked?
Yeah, for the teams.
Yeah, for the team. So was it obviously Australia in group whatever,
Yes.
and then were you with the good team like New Zealand, England, and that?
Yeah. So they split according to our rankings, and they make the pools out of that.
Yeah.
And so Australia and New Zealand have not been really in the same pool, so they don't play each other. I think we had England in our pool.
Yeah.
So that was obviously one of the tougher matches. But the netball the Com Games goes for 2 weeks, and the netball goes for the full 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I think we get 1 day off here or there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we're playing a game every day.
So did you lose a game in the 2014? Glasgow?
That's a good question. I can't remember.
Can't remember. We're a statistician onto it. No, but you walked away with the medal. And
Yes.
That's. Can you talk about the grand final?
Yes. Well,
Preparation,
it was
whatever.
against New Zealand,
Yes.
the grand final. My Joshi was there at the start of the tournament with
Joshi,
my parents.
Shout out to you, mate.
He did have to leave to go play frisbee in Italy, but that's okay.
That's okay. That's
Thanks
cool.
for coming.
A sporting family, I tell you
a
what.
little bit.
Literally going all around the globe.
We were.
Yeah.
And so, but my parents were there for the grand final, so that was really special. They were
Yes.
in the crowd. They made the trip over. And I actually didn't get any court time in the grand final. I was a bench girl.
Who cares?
But I embraced it.
Who cares? Yeah, exactly.
And there was, other girls that also didn't get a run. I think two of them might have been in the leadership group as well. So I just followed their lead a bit.
Yeah.
But, as soon as we were like, I think we won by over 10 goals or something. So it was
Yeah.
quite surprising. Yeah. And then as soon as that whistle goes, everyone just sprints on,
Start
jumps
to
all
realise-
over each other.
Yeah. How long did it take for it to actually sink in and realise that you've just won the Commonwealth Games?
Yeah, like definitely a little bit.
Yeah,
Definitely
for
not
sure,
straight
for sure.
away.
But you played a few games in the Commonwealth Games.
Yes,
so that's
I did. Yeah.
Because with the AFL, if you play like a few games, but then you don't play the grand final, you don't get a medal, which I feel like is kind of
I know,
unlucky
it's
because you
tricky.
did contribute. But
Yes.
anyway,
Yes.
that's another story. But I think it's deserving for everyone that's contributed to